Hello, Hope City. I want to thank you for joining our 7 at 7. I'm Pastor John. If you don't know me, that's who I am. But if you do know me, you already know that. So let's look at this past Sunday. We started a new sermon series called Get Used to Different. And you can tell a little bit from the title. With the letter switch, everything is a little different. So we need to start seeing things a little different. We need to notice things differently. We need to speak things differently. We need to let the differences that are happening on the inside of us come out and show up on the outside. So one of the verses I used this past Sunday was from the Mirror Bible. And if you have a handout, great. If you don't, you can download that from our app or from our website. But right there, Romans 3:21. And I'm going to expand on that a little bit because that's what this does. It gives me a little bit of opportunity to talk a little bit more about the sermon topic and title. So verse 21 was the verse, but it says, we are now talking a completely different language. So what language did they talk before and what language are they now talking? So they were talking the language basically of their flesh, of the law. Now they're speaking the language of the Spirit or of grace. So, and you can go back even further in Romans and read that in Romans 3. But Romans 3:21 continues to say, the gospel unveils what God did right, not what we did wrong. That right there, if you just stop and meditate and think about that, religion is always pointing out what you've done wrong and now you can't get to God. Religion has it totally backwards because it's not about you getting to God. It's all about God coming to you. God sent his son. God just did everything he could to get to you. That's the difference between religion and truth, religion and gospel. That's the difference between the law and grace. See, the law says you had to do something. Grace says, from God's standpoint, I've already done it. So live in the done, don't live in your doing. So let's keep going. It says, both the law and the prophetic writings pointed to this moment. So let me ask you this. Why is there a reference to the law and the prophets? Because it was written actually in the law that something was established on two witnesses. You had to have two witnesses for something to be established. So Paul is pointing out in the book of Romans that God has established the gospel of grace, that grace in what God has done for us in order for us to live out our life victoriously, he's established that on the law, what the law was pointing to, and the prophets. So two witnesses have now established this new law of grace. I think that's awesome. So it says, Jesus is what God believes about you. And I'm telling you what, we get so caught up in what we've done wrong. We get so caught up in our mistakes, the things we do wrong or say wrong or whatever. But God is so in love with you and what he sees in you and what he created you to be. See, the Creator never loses vision of what the intent on the creation was. So what he intended for mankind when he created them, he never changed his mind. God doesn't change his mind. He doesn't say, I messed up on that. Let's just wipe them all out, start all over. As creator, I guess he could do that if he wanted to, but he can't do that because he's love. And love holds no record of wrongs. I think Ron talked about that on Monday night. That's an amazing standpoint to think about, that God doesn't hold a record of our wrongs. So when we go to God and we start talking about all the things we've done wrong, he doesn't really know what we're talking about. He does because he knows everything, but he's also like, don't you know that you're forgiven? So let me keep reading. Let's see what time. All right, 4 minutes. All right. Jesus is what God believes about you. In him, the righteousness of God is on display. So in Christ, the righteousness of God is on display in such a way that everyone, that's us, may be equally persuaded about what God believes about them. Regardless of who they are, there is no distinction. So the person homeless on the street, the righteousness of God is available to them, just like it's available to me, just like it's available to the President of the United States, just like it's available to anyone else out there. It's all available to everyone. We just have to recognize it and accept it. Verse And this is where, we've all read Romans, well, not all, but let's just say a lot of us have read Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. And I get that, and that's what it's saying, but there's no good news there. That's just saying you can't measure up. So this says mankind is in the same boat. Their distorted behavior is proof of a lost blueprint. We're acting out of a wrong belief. We've seen ourselves as fallen, therefore we act fallen. If we see ourselves the way God sees us, righteous and blameless in His sight, then we'll act righteous, we'll act blameless, and we'll do the things that Jesus did because we're made right by what Jesus did. Verse 24 says, while the law proved mankind's dilemma, and this is where the good news comes in, the grace of God announces the same mankind's redemption in Christ. Their blameless innocence is a free gift. Man, your blameless innocence is a free gift. You're not earning the innocence God has given you. It was a gift that purchased by Jesus and given to us. The gift principle puts the idea of reward out of business. There is no exception. This belongs to every single person, Jew and Gentile alike. Mankind's righteousness is now redeemed. It's now been bought back and brought back to the original creation, what God had intended from the beginning. Jesus Christ is proof of God's grace gift. He redeemed the glory of God in human life. Mankind condemned in the language of religion. So mankind was condemned in the language of religion because you can't do this, you can't measure up, you failed, you need to sacrifice, you need to bring offerings, you stink at this, you are horrible at this, you fall short, you can't do it, you'll never make it. We were condemned by the law, by the language of the law. But the language of grace is Jesus did it, Jesus measured up, Jesus took our payment, Jesus took our punishment, Jesus took on sin, Jesus did all this. Congratulations, it's a gift now for you to walk in blameless innocence. So mankind condemned in the language of religion is now mankind justified in the language of the gospel. So that's 7 minutes. That's all I got for tonight. So read these verses, go back over them. I put them in the header, but read them, meditate on them, and just really soak them in because it's good news. God love you. Bye-bye.